blade stopped 3 centimeters from my throat. I didn't move. Couldn't move. The ceremonial hall of the Xanthir Empire stretched before me like a canyon of crystalline pillars and hovering light spheres, each one reflecting the face of the guard whose weapon trembled against my skin. Behind him, 200 witnesses stood frozen in their formal robes, their multi-jointed hands clasped in various states of interrupted greeting. "Human," the guard whispered, his translator barely carrying the word. "Unauthorized presence. Penalty is immediate execution. This picture be... My credentials hung from my neck on their silver chain, but they meant nothing here. I was Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Diplomatic Corps, assigned to deliver a message to the Empress during her daughter's coronation ceremony. The message burned in my pocket like a live coal. 47 human colonies hung in the balance. War or peace, everything depended on this delivery. The guard's second blade rose to mirror the first. "Please," I said, keeping my voice level. "I have clearance." "Level 7. The Empress herself. The Empress sees no one during sacred transition. His blades didn't waver. Protocol permits no exceptions. The crowd's breathing created a susurration like wind through strange trees. 3 months I'd spent learning Xanthir customs, memorizing the 17 forms of address, practicing the gestural language their kind used when words failed. None of it prepared me for this moment, for the absolute certainty in the guard's multifaceted eyes that killing me was not murder but duty. Then the child's voice cut through the tension like a bell. "Mother!" The word came from the far end of the hall, where the coronation dais stood empty except for the small figure in ceremonial white. Princess Valora was 7 years old by human reckoning, barely tall enough to reach the throne that would soon be hers. Her forearms spread wide in a gesture I recognized from my studies. Desperate recognition, the call a Xanthir child makes when separated from family in danger. But she wasn't looking at the Empress, who stood in the shadows of the eastern alcove. She was looking at me. "Mother?" she said again, and this time she ran. The guard's blades lowered in shock. The crowd gasped as one. Xanthir children did not run during sacred ceremonies. They did not speak out of turn. They certainly did not acknowledge aliens with familial terms reserved for blood relations. Valora's small feet slapped against the polished floor as she sprinted toward me, her white robe streaming behind her like wings. I saw the Empress move in my peripheral vision, saw her step from the alcove with a speed that belied her massive frame, but she didn't call out, didn't stop the child. The princess crashed into my legs and wrapped all 4 arms around my waist. "You came back," she sobbed into my uniform. "You came back."
"I knew you would. I knew it."
I stood paralyzed, feeling the tremors that ran through her small body, aware that every eye in the hall had fixed on this impossible tableau. The guard's blades hung useless at his sides. Protocol had shattered like glass, and no one knew what pieces to pick up first. "Your Highness," I said carefully, using the formal low Xanthir reserved for royalty. "I believe there's been a mistake. We've never—" "Syrax," she said, and the name hit me like a physical blow. Syrax. The mining colony on Helion. 9. 6 months ago. My mouth went dry. "How do you know that name?" "Crix. He was trapped when the shaft collapsed. You went into the dark even though humans fear enclosed spaces. You pulled him out." She looked up at me with eyes that held more understanding than any 7-year-old should possess. "He told me about the human who held his hand and sang to him in the dark so he wouldn't be afraid. He described your face, your voice. I knew you immediately." The memory flooded back. The emergency call. The Xanthir workers trapped beneath tons of rock, the rescue teams declaring it too dangerous, too unstable, and the small voice crying in the darkness, speaking broken English, begging for help. I'd gone in. Of course I'd gone in. What else could I do? "Crix is alive because of you," Valora continued, her voice carrying through the hall with surprising strength. "He serves in my household now. He told me what you said to him. That fear is acceptable. That crying is strength. That humans and Xanthir bleed the same color when rocks don't care about species." The Empress had reached us. She stood 3 meters tall, her ceremonial armor catching the light like captured stars. Her face remained unreadable, but her primary hands moved in a gesture I'd only seen in the most ancient texts. "Honor. Debt." "Captain Chen," she said, her voice resonant and controlled. "My daughter speaks truth?" "Yes, Your Majesty." My throat felt tight. But I was only doing my duty. Any human would have, Any human did not. She cut me off with a gesture. You did. Without orders. Without compensation. You risked your life for a child you'd never met, of a species you'd only encountered twice before. She turned to address the hall, her voice carrying effortlessly to every corner. This human entered sacred space without permission. Protocol demands her execution. She paused, letting the words settle. But my daughter has named her mother, and by our oldest law, the law that predates empire and protocol and ceremony, family protects family. Blood protects blood. The Empress's blades emerged from her forearms in one fluid motion. I heard the guard behind me inhale sharply. Then she drove both blades into the floor at my feet. I declare Captain Sarah Chen of Earth to be Call Mother to House Xanthir. What threatens her threatens my daughter. What threatens my daughter threatens the Empire. Her eyes met mine, and I saw something fierce and ancient burning there, and the Empire does not tolerate threats. The Empress of 700 Worlds knelt before me. The entire hall followed. Alora's arms tightened around my waist. I told you she'd understand, the princess whispered. Family is family. My hand trembled as I pulled the message from my pocket. The crisis, the war brewing, the 47 colonies. It all suddenly seemed very small compared to the weight of 200 Xanthir nobles pressing their foreheads to the floor in acknowledgement of an honor I didn't understand. Your Majesty, I said, my voice barely steady, I have a message from Earth. Then deliver it, daughter of my daughter. Let the words be heard. I opened the sealed envelope, my hands still shaking. But as I read the demands from Earth's Council, the threats and ultimatums designed to force concessions, I saw the Empress's expression shift, not to anger, to disappointment. They don't understand, she said quietly. They still don't understand. Understand what, Your Majesty? That we've been waiting. She gestured to the hall, to the assembled witnesses. 300 years we've watched humanity spread through the stars. 300 years we've waited to see if you would become predators or protectors, if you would serve yourselves or serve something greater. Her hand rested gently on Valora's head. One human, in one dark shaft, answering one child's cry for help, that tells me more than 1,000 treaties. She took the message from my hand and tore it in half. The hall went silent. Return to your council, the Empress said. Tell them the Xanthir Empire has decided. We will not negotiate with Earth as supplicants or conquerors. We will negotiate as family, and family does not bargain with family. Family protects. What does this mean? It means the 47 colonies are under Imperial protection as of this moment. Any force that moves against them moves against us. She smiled, revealing rows of crystalline teeth. It means your species showed us mercy when mercy was hard. Now we will show you what mercy looks like when it's easy. Valora tugged at my sleeve. Does this mean you'll stay? For the coronation? I looked down at the child who'd called me mother, at the Empress who'd knelt before me, at the assembled court whose respect I'd somehow earned by simply doing what anyone should do, helping someone in the dark. Yes, I said. I'll stay. The Empress's blades retracted. She raised one hand in the formal gesture of continuation, and the ceremony resumed as if nothing had happened. But everything had happened. Everything had changed. As Valora returned to the dais, she glanced back at me once. Her expression held no triumph, no smugness. Only the simple certainty of a child who'd seen goodness once and trusted it to appear again. The guard who'd nearly killed me moved to my side. Forgive me, he said quietly. I did not know. Neither did I admitted. What you did in that mine, he continued. Crix is my nephew. You gave him back to us. I owe you a life debt. I just helped. He finished the sentence with a gesture of profound respect. You just helped. That is why you're more dangerous than any weapon we've ever faced. Because humans, when they choose, can be dangerous in their kindness. The coronation proceeded with flawless precision. Valora received her crown, spoke her vows, accepted the weight of future rule with a gravity that seemed impossible for one so young. Through it all, I stood in my designated place among the honored witnesses, feeling the phantom weight of small arms around my waist, hearing a child's voice in the dark saying, I knew you would come. The treaty negotiations begin tomorrow, she said. You will represent Earth at my right hand. Your Majesty, I'm not authorized to negotiate on Earth's behalf. I'm just a courier. Your family. That's the only authority that matters here. She paused. Your superiors will object, of course. They'll demand formal ambassadors, proper protocols, traditional hierarchies. They will, I agreed. While they argue about seats and titles, you and I will build the foundation of peace on something more stable than politics. She glanced toward Valora, who was accepting congratulations from a line of nobles. We'll build it on the truth that when someone cries out in the dark, the right response is to answer, not to calculate cost, not to weigh benefit, just to answer. That's a dangerous foundation, Your Majesty. It requires trust. Yes. Her smile was fierce. It requires humans to be exactly as dangerous as you proved yourself to be. Dangerous enough to care when caring is hard. Dangerous enough to act when action is risky. Dangerous enough to treat a stranger's child as if they were your own. She walked away before I could respond, leaving me alone in the emptying hall, with thoughts that spiraled like stars. I'd come here to deliver a message. Instead, I'd received one. Not in words, or demands, or political maneuvering, but in the simple equation of a child's trust and a mother's recognition. Humanity had been tested in that dark shaft on Helion 9. We'd been weighed and measured not by our weapons or our fleets or our territorial ambitions, but by what one person chose to do when no one was watching and nothing was gained, and somehow impossibly we'd passed. Valora found me as I stood there, her crown slightly askew, her ceremonial robes already rumpled from enthusiastic well-wishers. "Thank you for staying," she said. "Thank you for—" I hesitated. "Why did you call me mother?" "Because Crick said you held him like mothers hold children." With the kind of strength that doesn't break things, she adjusted her crown with 2 hands, while the other 2 smoothed her robes. "My real mother is Empress. She must be strong in ways that sometimes do break things. But I thought maybe I could have 2 kinds of mother. The kind who rules and the kind who rescues. Is that allowed?" I knelt to her level. "I'm honored. Truly. But I'm not sure I know how to be anyone's mother." "That you told him stories about Earth while you worked to free his leg. That you stayed even when the rocks shifted and everyone said you should run." Her multifaceted eyes studied me with uncomfortable intensity. "That sounds like a mother to me. That sounds like basic human decency. Then humans must be very decent." She reached out and took my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. "The Empress says humanity is at a crossroads, that you could become like the Vex, who consume everything they touch, or like the Xanthir, who protect what they value. She says small actions in dark places reveal truth. Your mother is very wise." "She's scared." Valora said it simply, without drama. "She's scared because the galaxy is big and humans are new and power can corrupt. But she's also hopeful because of people like you. People who go into darkness for strangers. The weight of it settled on my shoulders like a physical thing. Not just the fate of 47 colonies, but the trajectory of human expansion into a cosmos full of species, older and wiser and more powerful than us. And somehow my actions in a collapsed mineshaft had become a data point in calculations I couldn't begin to comprehend. "I'm just one person," I said quietly. "Everyone is just one person." Valora squeezed my hand. "But one person singing in the dark can teach a whole empire about hope. That's what Crick says. It's what I believe." She left me then, summoned by attendants to some other ceremonial obligation. I watched her go, this child who would someday rule 700 worlds, and wondered what kind of ruler she'd become. Would she remember this day? Would she remember the lesson her mother had just taught the entire court? That mercy and strength could coexist, that family transcended species, that the right action was the right action regardless of political consequences. The guard who'd nearly killed me approached again. "Captain Chen, I'm assigned as your personal security for the duration of your stay." "The Empress's orders. That's not necessary."
"You're Cal Mother now. That means you have enemies."
The words chilled me.
"What kind of enemies?"
The kind who fear change.
"The kind who see humanity as a threat to be eliminated, not an ally to be embraced. The kind who would kill you to prevent the alliance your existence now represents." He gestured toward the exit. "Your quarters have been prepared in the family wing. You'll be safe there. I should contact Earth. Let them know what's happened. The Empress has already sent communiques to your government. She's informed them that you've been granted full ambassadorial status and that any attempt to recall you will be interpreted as an insult to the Imperial House." "She can't do that. Earth won't accept what the Empress tells them to accept. Because the alternative is watching 47 colonies burn while the Empire stands aside. His tone softened slightly. She's protecting you, Captain, and through you, she's protecting humanity from itself. Your superiors would have sent someone political, someone calculating. They would have negotiated from weakness and desperation. The Empress is giving you the position so that negotiations happen from strength and family loyalty. We walked through corridors of impossible beauty, past windows that looked out on garden worlds and crystal nebulae. Servants bowed as we passed, guards saluted with the sharp precision of weapons acknowledging weapons. And I thought about Crix, trapped in the dark, crying in a language I barely understood. I'd gone into that shaft because it was the right thing to do. Because leaving a child to die alone was unthinkable. Because in that moment, species and politics and consequences had meant nothing compared to the simple equation of suffering and response. Now that simple action had cascaded into consequences I couldn't control. I'd become a symbol, a bridge, a test case for humanity's character. And the terrifying part was that I had no idea if we'd measure up. If I'd measure up. My quarters were indeed in the family wing, adjacent to Valora's own rooms. The space was designed for someone 3 times my size, but accommodations had been made. Furniture scaled to human proportions, atmosphere adjusted to Earth normal, even a small garden visible through transparent walls that featured plants from home. Someone had thought of everything. I collapsed into a chair and pulled out my communicator. 300 messages waited, each one more urgent than the last. Earth Command demanding explanations. The Diplomatic Corps expressing confusion and concern. News agencies requesting interviews. Political analysts predicting everything from alliance to war. I ignored them all and composed a single message to my sister back on Earth. Katie, something impossible happened today. I'm not sure I understand it yet, but I think maybe humanity just got a chance we don't deserve. A chance to be better than we've been. I'm scared I'll mess it up. I'm scared one wrong word or action will destroy everything, but I'm going to try. Because a little girl called me mother today, and that means something. That has to mean something. Love you. Talk soon. I sent it before I could second-guess the words. Through the wall, I heard Valora's voice raised in laughter, the sound of a child being a child despite the crown and the ceremony and the weight of future responsibility. It made me smile, made me think that maybe the Empress was right. Maybe small actions in dark places did reveal truth. Maybe helping one person with no thought of reward or consequence was exactly the foundation on which to build something lasting. The communicator buzzed with an incoming message. Official. Encrypted. From Earth Command. I opened it. Captain Chen, your actions have created a diplomatic situation of unprecedented complexity. You are hereby ordered to maintain your current position and cooperate fully with Xanther authorities while we assess the ramifications of the Empress's declaration. Do not attempt to negotiate beyond your designated authority. Do not make promises on behalf of Earth. Do not let personal sentiment compromise humanity's strategic position. Detailed instructions will follow. Acknowledge receipt immediately. I stared at the words, feeling something hardened in my chest. They didn't understand. They still saw this as politics and strategy and maneuvering for advantage. They hadn't been in that mineshaft, hadn't heard a child's terrified breathing in the dark, hadn't felt the weight of trust when small hands gripped yours and believed you'd make everything okay. They wanted me to not let personal sentiment compromise our position. But personal sentiment was the only thing that had given us a position to compromise. I deleted the message without acknowledging it. Tomorrow I would face Earth's formal ambassadors and explain what had happened. Tomorrow I would sit at the Empress's right hand and help forge whatever came next. Tomorrow I would begin the impossible task of teaching my species that sometimes the strongest weapon is the willingness to help someone for no reason except that they need help. But tonight I was just Sarah Chen, a woman who'd crawled into darkness because a stranger's child was afraid. And that, I realized, was exactly who I needed to be. The future could wait. Through the wall, Valora laughed again. I closed my eyes and smiled. Family protects family. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything.